What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Avenue A, where we talk acting, networking, and the industry. What's up, Mike? Thanks so much for tuning in. It's great to have you here. Thanks for being here. I'm so happy to be back after a week that we took off for the holiday long weekend. Believe me, on Friday night of last week, I was still in an extended food coma, so I felt it best to just take it easy. But I'm so excited to be back tonight with a very exciting guest. It's sort of going to be a different type of episode today. So as most of you know, we've had 25 episodes of Avenue A already. I started the show in May, and we've gone live almost weekly since May. And until now, we've had 25 episodes. And as some of you know, but maybe not all of you, I have a producer that helps me with the behind the scenes kind of posting comments and helping me with the transitions so that I can really focus on the interviews with my guests. And that person happens to be my lovely, lovely sister, Dana Bentz. So I thought it would be really fun to bring Dana on as a guest on the show, bring her out from the shadows of behind the scenes and onto the screen with me so that we can kind of talk about the last 25 seasons, because she's been right beside me the whole way, but just sort of like behind the curtain. So we're going to bring her on screen today, and we're kind of going to talk about what's been most impactful for her the last 25 episodes, of Avenue A. So I'm really excited. She's the best. Before I bring her on, I'm just gonna give y'all a little background on Dana, who she is, what she's about. So Dana Bentz, she's my sister. She is the head of marketing at the live streaming company StreamYard, which is the platform that I use to run Avenue A. She's in charge of developing and managing their marketing strategy, overseeing the social media marketing strategy, and working with the product team to optimize the customer experience and retention. She does it all. She's working almost 24/7. She's the best. Dana's also an avid live streamer. She has 2 of her own shows, and she is a guest on other people's live streams almost weekly, if not more than that. She is live streaming all the time. She's also a producer and just an all-around tech expert. She goes live every Tuesday and Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific, if you ever want to tune in, and we'll come back to like where she goes live so that y'all can tune in to watch her. But without further ado, let's welcome on Dana to the show. Hi.
Hi, Kelsey. Thank you so much for having me on as a guest. This is so fun.
Oh my gosh.
Way more fun than being producer. I love being in the show on the screen.
I know. I'm so excited. It's funny. We were just talking before we came on screen, and we were like, who's going to produce the show if we're both on?
I know. We gotta both co-produce, co-host.
Yeah. Yes. Also loving your background. I'm noticing the monitor behind you.
Thank you. My branding colors as well.
Branding color. You truly, you did the most, and that's just so beautiful.
I should have worn a matching shirt.
You should have.
To be on brand. But thank you, everyone. I know. Thanks for tuning in, Josh. Oh Josh is our cousin tuning in from, where is he now? Ontario?
Yes.
And Mike is in Ontario. Mike, NLTMW.
Oh my gosh, Mike, yes. Mike is in Niagara-on-the-Lake, right?
I think so. Maybe St. Catharines.
Oh, St. Catharines. That's so cool. Well, thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. It's so great to be here. And Dana, let's just jump right in. I'm so excited to have you on the show. It's going to be kind of a different episode, but I'm excited for it.
I know. I love the title, producer Tell-All.
Tell-All.
It's going to be a good episode.
So let's just get right in. Obviously, you know, you're not an actor per se. You're not necessarily a performer, but you do like a lot of live streaming, which is a performance, you know, so you definitely are in that realm, but kind of just in a different way than maybe I am. So I'm wondering, what has it been like for you as like more of a non-actor to be so involved in this acting and networking live stream? Does any of it feel relevant to you? I mean, this has been 25 hours almost of content that you've been absorbing. So does any of it feel relevant?
Well, I definitely take some like nugget away each stream. And that's like what I really love about it is that sometimes you have people on from school and you guys talk about some teacher, or you talk about some class you were in that might not be as relevant to someone like me who didn't go to NYU. But I love that I always come away with like, yeah, like that positive mindset that Lauren brings to the show, or like that little tidbit that someone says is like, yeah, that is like I could totally apply that somewhere else, like in what I do day to day. Julie, thanks for tuning in.
Hi, Julie.
Happy Friday. Yay, it's the weekend. And this is also, it is such a good, I love the time of your show, Kels, because it's just such a great way to end your episode, end your week with an episode. And you always tell your guests, like, you made my Friday. Like, this was such a great week. It was such a great way to end the week.
It really is. And I don't mean to say that to everyone. Like, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but it does really happen. Like every Friday, I find myself with these different amazing artists who like grace me with their presence and their wisdom and their experience. And I'm just blown away every week and just so honored to be like conversing with these people and learning from these people and these artists. So it
you've had really amazing guests on who they each bring a different perspective. Like most of them are in the acting industry. Smash that like button. Thanks. Most of them are in the acting industry, but it's like, it's never the same show 2 weeks in a row. You know, you always learn something different. And that's why I love that it's weekly. I love that you can look forward to it each week at the end of your week. But I think when I started live streaming, Kels, like I had to learn how to act in a way. Like when I very first started live streaming, I think I first went live in 2016, which is like
with the Dana show.
No, so that was my second time of going live. So I first went live back when I was a real estate agent in an open house, like touring. It was just Facebook Live, nothing fancy like StreamYard, because StreamYard wasn't even invented. And so I was just like touring the home and that's it. So that was my first experience with Facebook Live. And I was just like, live, like this is a great way to like connect, to get in front of people, like market yourself. So I kind of had always had a thing for it. But then when I went live, when I started the Dana show, I think that was 2018.
Yeah. Maybe 2019. Feels like a lifetime ago.
I know. I really had to learn like what you've learned what you've been trained in, but I've had to learn like, how do you put on like this show? How do you be the host? How do you like get camera ready? Like, how do you worry about all these things? And like, how do you have a rhythm with your guests that you're talking with? Like, you really do have to know how to act well, because you're putting on this show, like you're putting on a performance.
Yeah, that's so true. And it's actually funny you bring that up, because it was definitely a learning curve for me as well when I started live streaming, which was literally in May, like 6 months ago. Even though like I'm an actor, I've been an actor, I'm trained, you know, it's a totally different experience, like playing a character on stage versus being on screen. Lauren, thanks for tuning in. Lauren's our coworker. She's the best.
You know, and Lauren's episode specifically, she was so great about saying like we're all actors. We all have to like transition to these online mediums, like doing theater on StreamYard and like doing a Zoom play. But I loved Lauren's mindset of like, let's just like dive in. Like we have to like innovate on these platforms anyway. And like, let's just learn everything about them. And it's just so motivating, like to see her perspective, because it's so easy to be like, well, can't go to Broadway. Like might as well just wait till Broadway opens. Yeah. It's like, no. Like you have to keep producing art.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think it's a great way to, I mean, like the personality you sort of are on a live stream is a certain character, you know, like it is definitely a performance in a way. Like it's so different, you know, in this medium, it's so different than being a character on a stage or like traditional acting. But I mean, you definitely understand the performative aspect of it, you know, like you were saying, how to get ready and like what kind of lighting you need and like all of this stuff. It is so It is performative, and it's been so cool to explore that. And I love that you also have that experience, and we're kind of like doing it together, even though we're in sort of different realms in a sense.
Yeah, it has been so fun to just learn your perspective of getting into live streaming, because you're so right. Like, it's massively different to be, performing on stage like you do. And, just sitting in an office with a camera, like that's way different.
Yeah.
It's way different, but it does take practice.
Yeah.
Take practice to get good at. But what I really like that you've done is, like, I feel like each episode you're like working on something new. Like, you're getting better in some way. Like, you're getting better lighting, you're getting a better camera, like over the 25 episodes, I feel like your hosting abilities have like improved each time. Like, you've learned how to really, like, I think what's the coolest part is that you've been able to learn the producing, directing. Like, sometimes you talk about how now that you have this show, it's like you're the director, you're the producer, you're the graphic designer.
Well, you're the producer.
Okay, well, that's right.
But yes, yes.
But it's like your show, and as an actor, like, you would have never have learned all those things, like all the behind the scenes, and like now you have to be the one worried about lighting.
Yeah.
But you've learned it all, through this process of live streaming.
Totally. And you have too. It's so, I mean, like, you inspire me all the time, just like all of the technology that you're using and integrating with. And like, I mean, just look at your freaking background. You coordinated the lighting to my theme, my brand color. I don't even do that for myself. So I'm always taking notes from you, and it's amazing to just have you in my life to bounce things off of and just be inspired by.
Oh, Kel, thank you so much. That's so sweet.
So cute. Okay, moving on. Can you talk about some of your most memorable moments from that first episode in May to now, or maybe like favorite things guests have said?
Yes.
You
just like go down memory lane.
Brain, yeah.
Okay, so I think the earliest favorite memory this was before you even launched the show. We were just like toying with ideas, and I had put together like a brief intro video draft, and was like so excited about it. It had like some of the features that it has now, your intro video. Like, it had the mic and it had curtains or something like that. And I remember, like, I was so excited about it. It was like my favorite intro video, because like, your show's just so focused. It's like acting, networking in the industry. It's like, know what you're going to get. So it was really easy to make. It was easy to make an intro video for. But I just remember it was so funny. We were fighting back and forth with like the letters and like how the letters popped in. And I was just like, that is just such a sister thing to fight about,
It was, yes. And it was like a huge deal.
Yeah. I think you liked the countdown time or the intro video, but you were just like, but the words, they have to like go like this or look like this. And I was just like, no, that's not what it's supposed to look like. You're like, yes, Dana, listen.
And the intro video is still today. It is a hybrid of both of our brains. So good for us.
Best of both worlds.
That's nice.
Okay, so that was like way long time ago.
That was the beginning, yes.
And then I think you do what most people I think should do when they first start live streaming is like have a couple of people that are your best friends on. So your very first guest, I think, was Pearson.
It was,
and that's such a great episode. I remember he was just in such a cute set. He had like he was in like his cute yellow chair. His setup was just so cute, and you both had the same hair. So I think that's what most people should do. Like, if your audience members, Kels, are thinking about live streaming, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I would really emphasize that because I was really, for lack of a better term, shitting myself for like the couple of weeks leading up to my first episode. I felt like I had no idea what I was doing. I was so insecure. I was freaking out. And I just was so glad that it was my best friend that I was having on, who happens to be like an amazing, like overly qualified guest to be on the show. So it really worked out well for me. And he was so supportive and willing to be on the show. But I was just so thankful that I did that.
Yeah. Pearson was such a great guest. But like that helps you like, okay, now I like know how it goes. Now how I know what live streaming is like now I can invite a new guest, and like now I have a show that I can be like, hey, watch this show. Do you want to be on the show that I have? So I think you're right that was a great idea.
Exactly.
You've had so many fun guests. Like there have been so many memorable moments. I think a couple come to mind. So you had Alice Ripley on. That was so cool. She's very famous. You also had Melissa Errico on, who we got to know in StreamYard, just working with her as a StreamYard broadcaster.
Yeah.
That was really fun. That
Such
was
a small world.
That was the way we networked with her.
Yes.
So fun. But I just remember how excited you were about having them both on.
I was so excited.
I know.
Because I was barely keeping it together.
I know. And both of them, I think both of them were like extra long episodes because you just like both couldn't stop talking. And
they were both hour-long episodes on accident.
Yeah, on accident. Like this was a 30-minute show, but like you had so much to talk about, and they were so willing like to give you their time and give you like to answer all your questions, because they're like they probably see themselves in you, or they see you in themselves.
Oh.
Hopefully that's what they think.
Yeah, those were I've had such a range of such notable guests, and it just I'm starstruck by all of them. You know, it's just it's so cool.
And it's so nice that Nadine says Avenue A is awesome. That is so sweet, Nadine. Thanks for tuning in. And Grandma, thanks for tuning in. Aw, so sweet.
These two put on shows when I babysat them on Friday nights, and here they are still entertaining Grandma. Love you bunches. That's actually so true. Grandma would babysit us when Mom and Dad would go on date night on Friday night. And we would like just do, I don't know, little skits in the living room. I remember that. That's so funny. And here we are. Here we are 12 years later, 15 years later, who knows?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so those are the memories.
Those are only a few memories.
There's been a lot. I mean, 25 episodes. It's exciting.
I know.
So from the last 25 episodes, can you like kind of condense that into maybe like 3 things or 3 tips, pieces of advice that you've gathered from the last 25 episodes that have really stuck with you?
Yeah. So you used to ask a question on your show. I don't think you ask it in season 2, but you used to ask, what was your favorite failure and why was that your favorite failure? You might still ask it. I'm not sure.
I don't ask that anymore.
Yeah. But I really liked that question because for some people it was like really hard to think about it because they were like, you know what, like every failure honestly turned out like for the better, or like I learned something from the failure. So I felt like that question was so neat to see how positive people like turned some events that happened to them, or like things that other people might claim as failures. Like it was just nice to see like, you know what, like someone would have called that a failure, but X, Y, and Z is what I learned from it. Like, and this is how I like got better. So I wouldn't really call it a failure, but that's why it's my favorite failure, you know? So I really liked that question, and I liked people's answer to it. Like I liked that it was hard to answer. So I think that was one of them. A second one, I learned some like quick tips. So you just had on Rick on your show.
Rick Riley, yes, ma'am.
Yes, he said, make sure that you sing before you go on a live stream. Like make sure you warm up your vocal cords. And I'm like, I have never done that before, but I should start, because when you're like, we're all working from home, you know, we're all like on Zoom all day, but sometimes you don't talk to people for a while, like, especially if you live alone, you like you don't start talking until 3 p.m. or something, you know, by accident.
Yeah.
And he was saying it's so helpful, just like sing a tune before your live stream. So I just loved that tip.
Are you gonna start doing that?
I didn't before this episode, but I think I should.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you totally should.
I think I should.
It's so
Do you
true.
start
Like,
doing that, Kels?
I'm a hummer. So I'll hum like before I have to know that I have to vocalize something. Yeah, I haven't really been singing as much lately, which I should start doing more. I should just like make that my warm up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
And a couple of other things. I think a lot of people mention this throughout your show. They're like, because you've had on only people in the arts, I think, so far.
Yeah.
And that industry was like hit the hardest in the pandemic. It's still being hit the hardest. Broadway's still closed till 2021.
Yeah.
And so it's like really hard to be an actor. But what people have come on your show to say is like, you're still able to create art if you want to. You just have to like change the way you're looking at it or change the way you're approaching it. And I like how some of your guests are like exactly what you're doing, Kelsey. Like, I think it was Alan that you had on as a guest who was like, Kelsey, this is a great show that you've started because we can't do live theater, like because TV's not on, because all of these things are like still in lockdown and are going to be in lockdown. Like, this is the best possible thing you can be doing for your career right now. And I think that's so true. Like, continue to, like, yeah, we have to adapt to like the situation, and it's hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard, but you can still create art if you're creative enough.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I love that you said that, because that's really, I think, the overarching theme of this moment is just that if you're an artist, you never stop being an artist, you know, like you just have to find ways to keep being an artist in your given circumstances, you know?
Yeah.
So that always looks different. Like,
well, it looks different in a pandemic.
It sure freaking does, you know? Yeah.
But I think your guest, Michael McElroy, I think he was the one who was like, no one's going to create your art for you.
Oof,
like, you've got to be the one to take it upon yourself, like to create a show like Avenue A.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. And I feel like, I think, you know, both you and I, Dana, have really like come into ourselves in this time, like in like going after what we want, because I think we've both realized that like in our thanks, Mike. You're so right. Keep creating.
Yeah. And Matt, love this show. Thanks for watching, Matt.
It's really fun. Oh my gosh. Thank you.
Yeah, 25 episodes is resilient.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, it's I like don't even have words. Yeah. It's what we have to do to keep moving forward, right? Like, I think that's what it's all about. And that's what I've really gathered from the last 25 episodes with these different guests is everyone's really just like, you just got to keep going.
Yeah.
You know, that's like the overarching, like what being an artist is just being resilient and staying soft, I guess, and keeping creating. I was watching something today, and the gal was referencing this Brene Brown quote. I think it's Brene Brown.
Isn't that one of the authors Mom loves to read?
Yes. Yeah. And she has a great podcast. I hope I'm not misquoting, but I think it was Brene Brown. But the quote is, you have a strong back and a soft front and an open heart, I think.
Oh, cute.
Something like that. And I just felt like that was so like indicative of what being an actor is, or even an artist specifically now, is that we have to have strong backbones, you know, but we have to stay soft and open to
the change.
Yeah.
Open to like the good that can come out of like terrible times.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mike says there's nothing as constant as change.
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? But yeah, you're so right. I think like you asked at the beginning of the show, like, so my show's about acting and networking and like the industry, and Dana, you're not in that industry. So like, do you even care? But like, I think the things you
That's
phrased
a
it a little,
misquote.
you phrased it a little bit better than I did, but like the things that you learn, like the ways to success in your industry is like the same stuff goes in all industries. Like if you want to be successful, like you have to stay consistent with your show. Like Matt said, you have to be resilient. Like Mike said, you gotta like know that change is coming. Like change is the only constant.
Yeah.
You know, like you've got to be able to adapt. Like it goes in any industry. So I think that's why, I mean, actors are just, that's probably the best target demographic for your show. But like your show is relevant to people in any industries.
Thank you for saying that. That's so nice. And I think so too. You know, I definitely, I do target, it's a show about acting and the artistic sort of industry, because that's my area. But I do agree with you. I find talking to all these guests that, these are some like just life lessons that we're sort of like pondering together on these Friday evenings, you know, like it doesn't even necessarily have to come back to acting specifically. But it's really just like how to keep moving in your own profession.
Yeah.
Hi, Mom.
Oh my gosh, thanks for tuning in.
People are here tonight. Thanks for commenting.
No, thanks for tuning in to our fun.
I feel like I look like Mom's profile picture right there. We kind of look
really?
Like bangs, don't you think, a little bit? If I had the bangs, it would be the same. Okay, we're almost out of time. This went so fast, but really fast. I want to know, because we promised, you know, we'd spill some tea.
We'd spill some tea.
So in your opinion, producer extraordinaire, what's like either the most notable episode or the most notable guests thus far in your
Okay, so I have two. Okay. And it's really hard for me. I was thinking about this all week because you've had so many guests on.
I know.
And they've all been like really good. They've all had their like nuggets of, you know, wisdom that I've learned. Also, I'm friends with a lot of them. So, but there have been two that have just been like my fave. So one of them, or most notable, one of them was when Melissa sang her song on your show. I was just like, oh my gosh, like this makes it an acting, networking in the industry show. Like we need to do an opener every time you go live with like a 3-minute, like someone singing at the beginning, because it was so fun. She was so great. I mean, Melissa is awesome. Ugh. But I think Melissa singing that song was just like, this is such a fun show. Like it's like TV, you know?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we were like, and now we're gonna go to the sing song segment, and then
you know, it's like Ellen who interviews her guests, and then the guests like
perform.
Yeah, like SNL kind of.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So that was so much fun. That was so fun for me. She's also just awesome, an awesome singer. Awesome. Yeah, and she was a great guest. I also liked how you did an activity. I was also featured on this episode. Maybe that's why it's my favorite. But you did an activity. You also interviewed these two guests, but Matt, who's in the comments, and his magician extraordinaire friend,
Derek Hughes. Yes.
Derek was on your show. And they did an activity on the show. And that was more, I mean, magic is kind of acting, but that was more of like the industry.
Yeah.
But hearing their perspectives of also being in a similar industry, like very parallel industry, if not the same industry.
Absolutely.
Hearing from them was cool, and I just loved doing the activity. Like it just switched things up, and it just made the engagement factor so much. Just like you wanted to engage.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was
they did a magic trick. It was so cool.
Yeah, they did a magic trick live,
and it was real.
Well,
I still don't know how he did it to this day.
I still don't know either.
Yeah, it was real. Anyway,
that was a really fun episode. Yeah. But there are so many fun episodes. Like I remember Presley was one of your guests. I think it was a couple episodes after Pearson and Andy.
Yes.
I think it was right before she launched her own show, which is about being 20, surviving the 2020s.
Navigating 2020 in your 20s. Yes.
Yeah. So hearing her perspective on live streaming and her perspective, everyone's perspective of being in lockdown in the arts industry has been very like just eye-opening and like lovely to hear.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And I definitely agree with you. Yeah. Like it's definitely life-giving to me to be chatting with other artists who are in their bedrooms, in their living rooms, on their sofas.
Yeah.
Who are down and out in different ways, right? Like we're all navigating this moment differently. None of us are necessarily thriving, maybe. But I mean, I hope some of us are. But it's just so inspiring to me that artists come to the table, even in a moment like this, and they are excited and they're passionate and they have something to say and something to offer an audience, you know? And that's why I love being a part of the artistic community and the acting community.
Yeah. And you're keeping them connected by like having different people on the show and like networking through the show, like with the show, which I think is so cool. That's one of my favorite parts about my live stream shows, like the networking aspect of it.
Yes.
Like having to book a new guest every single week.
So that brings us to an important point, not to cut you off.
Okay.
But if anyone wants to watch Dana's live streams, because they are legit, we also do one together every week, StreamYard Spotlight.
We do,
super cute, super fun if you want to tune in. All of her YouTube stuff goes youtube.com/Dana Bentz. She has this cool customized URL. So she goes live twice a week. You don't want to miss it. She's so amazing and cute and pretty.
Thank you so much. And before we go, I know we're a little bit over time.
A little bit.
But my last question is, I want to hear from you what's been one of your most memorable moments from your 25 episodes.
Well, a really notable moment for me was the first time that a guest reached out to me to be on the show.
Oh, yeah.
And that was actually Tammy, the music artist Tammy. Her manager like saw the show and she, like saw another guest's episode and like emailed me and was like, you know, my client wants to be on the show. And I was just like, yes, like that's so cool. You know, that's what it's about. Like connecting with people who you wouldn't otherwise know through the spider web of the network of people. And the fact that like, and she was a great guest. She was awesome and just so nice and had such great things to say. And I like never would have known her or met her or been probably anywhere near her if it hadn't have been for this show and for her manager, Dustin, reaching out to me. So that was a really cool moment, just being like, you know, someone like wants to do this without me being like, hey, like I'm on the show. So that was a really big moment for me. Honestly.
Like as someone who also has a live stream show, like it is hard to book your guest every single week. Like you've got to figure out who you want to feature. So it kind of feels like, oh, this is like when you've made it, like when people request to be a guest on your show.
Yeah. It felt nice. Yeah. And I'm still sending emails all the time, you know, like that's definitely always a part of it.
Yeah.
A part that I appreciate and am fine with, but it was just that first moment of getting that email from someone I didn't know, you know, who was like, hey, I want to be on your show. And I was like, yes. So that was exciting for me.
Nice.
Okay, you know, we are unfortunately at the end of this episode. Time flies when you're truly having fun.
This was so much fun. Thank you for featuring me as a guest. I have been dying. I've been dying to be a guest, but I know I'm not an actor. So I was like just feeling really left out. So
thank you so much for taking the time to come on screen. And like, thank you also for taking the time every Friday night from May until now to be running this show for me. I can't thank you enough. It's so appreciated and you're so helpful. And it's just so nice to have that support behind the scenes.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And you produce my Tuesday night shows most of the time. And it is really nice because there's a lot going on in the backstage, you know?
Yeah, truly.
Thanks,
Okay,
Kel.
y'all, for those who are still with us, thanks for hanging in there. We love you. You're the best. You can find Dana on Instagram at Real Dana Bentz. And then again, that YouTube URL, youtube.com/Dana Bentz. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, subscribe to all her stuff. I'm her biggest fan. So yeah, thanks again, Dana, for being here. It was so fun to hear your perspective, and yeah, you bring a great energy, and you're the best.
Oh, Kels, thank you so much. And congratulations on 25 episodes. That's so long. It's been very fun to be a part of. Thank you for featuring me on this episode. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. Mike and Grandma Betty is in the comments. Thanks for tuning in.
Hi, Grandma
and
Betty.
Our mom and our grandma and Josh and Mike and Julie. Thank you, everyone. Lauren was here earlier. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Bye, Dana.
Bye.
Oh my gosh. My heart is so full right now. It's yes. Thank you. Just thank you for everyone tuning in. I'm so glad that you are here with us supporting this fun show that I decided to do. And yeah, that was a really fun episode. So I hope you enjoyed it. And we'll be back next week with another guest on the Acting, Networking, and the Industry show. So we'll see you then, and have a great weekend. Bye.